Being a quadriplegic, I know that it can be challenging dealing with life after a spinal cord injury. So in this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips on coping with life after a spinal cord injury. The first tip is to know that you are probably going to go through a grieving process, and that is okay. There are 5 categories in grieving, and the first category is denial. Whenever you first get injured, you are going to deny the fact that it has actually happened to you. The second category in grieving is sadness. You are going to feel sad that it has happened to you. And the third category is anger. Once you realize it has happened to you, you are going to be angry and you are going to put blame on other people more than likely. The fourth category in grieving is bargaining. So you are going to bargain or trade things off, such as drugs or any of that kind of thing, to try and help with the process of grieving, to try and escape from your injury. The fifth and final category of grieving is acceptance. Some people don't accept their injury, but if you do, I believe things will progress easier and faster. The first 2 years of your injury is probably the most difficult, and I know for me it was right at 2 years whenever I finally accepted my injury, and you may need help in any of those categories in grieving. So if you feel like you are isolating yourself from everything else in life, you probably want to find some help. The second tip for coping with a spinal cord injury is to give it time. It's going to take you a while to get used to the new way that you have to live with a spinal cord injury. Like I said, it took me about 2 years to get used to my injury and accept it, and I will say that it is really slow progress as you try to figure things out. Tip number 3 for coping with a spinal cord injury is to know that not all spinal cord injuries are the same, so you don't want to compare yourself to other people that have a spinal cord injury. With spinal cord injuries, you have complete injuries versus incomplete injuries, and you also have different Asias, such as Asia A and Asia B, etc. So if you are a C5 complete quadriplegic like myself, and you know somebody else who is also a complete C5 quadriplegic, both of you are probably going to have different levels of functionality, even though you have the same level of injury. Tip number 4 for coping with a spinal cord injury is to have patience. After experiencing a spinal cord injury, you're not going to be able to do a lot right off the bat, and it's going to take a lot of time to learn how to do those things. And even once you do learn how to do those things, it's still going to take probably longer than it did before your injury. So you need to have a lot of patience to try and figure out the different things that you need to do, and to not try and get in a rush, because then that will get you frustrated. Tip number 5 for coping with a spinal cord injury is to know that you are going to need help, especially in the first year or two after your injury, depending on what level of injury you have. I know that I don't like asking for help. I didn't like asking for help before my injury, and I definitely don't like it now because I have to rely on that person to do things for me. But sometimes it is better to just go ahead and ask somebody to help you, and most people feel like they are helping you out or want to help you out, and they are willing to do so. The sixth tip that I have for coping with a spinal cord injury is to get into a routine. Within the first year or two after your spinal cord injury, you and your family members or friends or caregivers are going to feel overwhelmed because you are not used to dealing with a spinal cord injury. So what you need to do is get into a routine or a schedule to try and manage your bowel program, your bladder program with catheterizing and everything, your medications, and just getting used to living with a spinal cord injury, trying to figure everything out. And once you get on a routine, all that will help out in the progress and hopefully make things easier. Tip number 7 for coping with a spinal cord injury is to have a positive attitude. I know that everybody says that you need to have a positive attitude after experiencing something like a spinal cord injury, but it really is true, and the more that you have a positive attitude, the more likely that things are going to go your way because you're not going to get as frustrated as much. And like I said in tip number 4, you should be able to get patience quicker if you have a positive attitude. Tip number 8 for coping with a spinal cord injury is to take control. After experiencing a spinal cord injury, it's really important to take responsibility of your actions. So in other words, you can be depressed and sad, angry, and just lay in bed all day, but nothing is going to help until you actually take action and try to better yourself, getting stronger physically and mentally, and trying to do everything that you did before your injury. So once you take responsibility of your actions, you can start setting short-term goals, such as trying to figure out how to get dressed, how to transfer, and know that you can do anything that you could do before your injury, such as driving or any kind of hobbies. Tip number 9 for coping with a spinal cord injury is to look ahead. You more than likely had plans and goals set before your injury, and you can still achieve all of those plans and goals after your injury. It just may take a little longer, and you might have to take a different route. Some of the plans you had before your injury might have been to go to a different state to live, or go to college and get a degree and a job in something, and you can still do all of that, but like I said, it just might take a little longer, or you might have to go a little bit different route to get to the end result. Tip number 10 for coping with a spinal cord injury is to have faith. So to have faith, you need to believe in yourself, and like I said in tip number 7, you need to have a positive attitude, believe in yourself, believe that you can do it. And another faith that you should have is a spiritual faith. Now I know that not everybody is a religious person, and I know that I wasn't until about 2 years after my injury, and I had something happen to me, and now there is no doubt in my mind that God exists and everything like that. So I'm not trying to push that on anybody, but I'm just asking you to take a step out and try it out, because I know that it has definitely helped me out. So those are the 10 tips that I have for coping with a spinal cord injury. If I missed anything or you guys have something to add, leave them down in the comments below.